Today is the deadline, the day the U.S. Treasury Secretary said the federal government would have run out of money to pay its bills.
But lawmakers reached a deal on the debt ceiling late last week that suspends it until 2025. It was sitting at $31.4 trillion. So where did the idea, let alone the implementation of a debt ceiling, come from? Here's KSAT Explains.
It doesn't sound like a complicated question.
What's the debt limit?
But the debate in Washington certainly has been. The debt ceiling
essentially tells the federal government you can only spend so much money.
The point at which the government can no longer increase the deficit, issue bonds.
It is the theoretical limit beyond which Congress can't and the president can't spend money.
Wait, did he just say theoretical?
Theoretical limit.
It came as a result of World War I, and if you can believe it, Liberty bonds, and the fear that the federal government was going to go into debt somehow.
The U.S. federal government created the debt ceiling as a way to pay for U.S. involvement in that war, and it's been around ever since.
Of the G7, the top 7 economies in the world, none of them but us have a debt ceiling.
It's a ceiling lawmakers came up with, and one which they have the power to raise.
Well, the spending limits are imposed by Congress, which has the power of the purse, if you will.
But there's a difference in how much money can be spent versus how much debt the U.S. can take on. The debt ceiling is a limit on how much money the federal government can borrow to pay for spending that's already happened. It's money already out the door. The debt ceiling is not necessarily a cap on spending. How much money can be spent, or rather is earmarked to be spent, and on what, takes shape in the annual federal budget.
Discussion with regard to debt limits versus the budget should be decoupled.
Which has helped contribute to the argument, why have a debt ceiling?
There's a fear that, if we got rid of it, we'd have just profligacy in spending. We already have profligacy in spending. Debt ceiling or no debt ceiling, debt limits or no debt limits, spending limits, which we used to have, by the way, at one point in the 1980s under what was called Graham-Rudman-Hollings. That one went away in the 1990s. And so there's not like we have these spending limits that are in place.
The reality is we do have a debt ceiling, and Congress has raised, extended, or revised it 78 times since 1960. In case you're curious, that's 49 times under Republican presidents and 29 times under Democratic presidents. Changing the debt ceiling is one thing, but surpassing it is another. Government shutdowns have become somewhat common over the years, and that's what some people might think of when hearing lawmakers warn of debt ceiling repercussions. But they're not the same. Here's why. The U.S. government must have its annual budget in place by September 30th every year. If they don't, the government can keep operating at about 95% of current spending.
Or you end up with an impasse where for, say, a week or 10 days, they don't have that budget in place for the next year. There's not the money there. You start shutting down non-essential services in government.
Busting through the debt ceiling is different. It means the U.S. would default on a payment.
The effect would be immediate. There are 11 interest payments due starting May 30th through the end of June. And if any one of those gets missed, then Treasury bonds, bills, notes automatically get a one-notch downgrade. So it's no longer AAA, top rated. And that means the cost of borrowing goes up.
That means the cost of borrowing money goes up for a house, for a loan. Now, if you're thinking, I've missed a debt payment every once in a while, well...
And even if we miss one payment, we're looking at probably 500,000 jobs lost and millions if it goes on for any length of time.
I mean, to say that somehow government operates like you and I do, last time I checked, you and I don't have nuclear weapons or can send people to Mars.
Defaulting on U.S. debt could also mean halting Social Security payments and military salaries, even a recession.
There is no specific grant to the President of the United States in the Constitution of the ability to borrow money or incur a debt.
But there is a provision in the 14th Amendment, and President Biden has suggested using it. In so many words, it says the federal government's debt can't be questioned and must be paid.
So there is some thought that the president could use that and say you can't question the debt, and so therefore we're going to go ahead and keep borrowing money because we've already decided we're going to spend money on these items.
That part of the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted by the Supreme Court before.
You can't just call up the Supreme Court and ask them for their interpretation. They don't give advisory opinions.
So it would take a legal challenge, which almost certainly would come, and a long legal fight would follow at a time when federal bills are piling up.
So I think it would create a constitutional crisis, an economic crisis, and we're stuck with trying to figure out what Congress is going to do in the meantime.
And they got that deal done at the end of last week. We want to know what you want to see explained. Scan this QR code to take you to the KSAT Explains page. That's where you can find all the stories we've done and a place to submit your own Explains ideas.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. And once again, thanks for watching KSAT.